Welcome to the Life First Accounting Firm podcast for accountants who love their work but love their lives outside of work even more. I'm your host, Erica Goody, the 15-hour accountant. I built my own mostly solo accounting firm because I wanted balance, health, and more time with my family. In season 1 of this podcast, we're sharing real starting stories from other accountants who chose to do the same, launch their own firms in a quest for more life and freedom. So pull up a chair, settle in, and listen in to the do's, the don'ts, and the would you do it agains. Welcome to Starting Stories. Hello, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm joined with Logan George. Logan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Erica. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited for this today. You have a unique perspective that I think a lot of people consider along their journey. And I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what kind of firm you run, and where you're located.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. So my name's Logan, like you said, and I run mostly a solo firm. So I have now 3 employees. They're all part-time moms. It's me and my part-time moms, I joke. So 3 part-time employees that do bookkeeping and admin and other things. And then myself, I'm the only CPA, only tax person on staff currently. I've been doing accounting. Let's see, I think this is my 10th busy season exactly. So mostly tax focused throughout that time. And I'm located in just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. So geographically, we're basically neighbors, right? For not too far away. Yeah, exactly. So we're pretty close that way, even though we've never met in person and in the same communities and things like that. So yeah, that's I think the very high level of where I'm at and about myself.
And I know when I DM'd you about doing this interview, you and your wife had just had a baby, and that
Yes.
was not so long ago.
Yeah.
Is everybody feeling well?
Yeah, everyone's doing well. It's funny that you say that because I told her when I left this morning that I was going to be on a podcast about like a work-life balance and things and or like balancing, and she gave me a side eye roll and she's like, you mean how we just had a kid and you're it's busy season and you're back to work and things. I was like, yeah, I like that. But anyways, yeah, we just had our 4th kid, our first girl, so we're really excited. So we're very much in the throes of young kid stage. Our oldest is almost 7, so we've got our hands full with 4 kids, 7 and under, and so anyways, but it's fun. We like it.
Yeah, that is the season. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it is the start of busy season as we're recording this. You have 4 kids at home. You probably haven't had a lot of sleep under your belt. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, why don't we dive in? The reason we have you on today is because my understanding is you bought a tax practice right out of the gate. Like that was your entry point into entrepreneurship. Do I have that right?
Pretty close. I'll share a little brief background of how I got to that point, and it might help some context as we go later on.
Great.
Into the conversation. So my brief history is, I came out of school, like I said, about 10 years ago. I did 3 years at a larger firm, a top 20 firm here locally, which was a great experience. All of the experiences have been great, but that was a great experience. Got a lot of technical training. Then I wanted to try out some smaller firms. I ended up at a smaller firm here, again, locally. That was, for small firms, it's pretty big. I think they had about 35 employees when I left, and now they've got 45 or close to 50 now. But great firm, and I was there, and I was really happy. And then a contact that I'd known as basically in the same neighborhood as a kid, but he was 15 years older than me, so he was a young adult and I was a kid there. Anyways, he had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm starting this firm that is focused on orthodontist, and we really need a CPA." And he just offered me a normal job while I was at that firm, and I just kind of said, "No, thanks." And then he came back a couple weeks later, something like that, and the offer was more, and they were kind of getting more and more desperate. It was during COVID, and times were crazy. Anyways, what ended up happening in that situation was, as things progressed and we talked, they offered me to become a partner right away. And so I went into that firm as a partner, basically. I mean, to make a long story short, there was a year waiting period, but I was basically a partner in that firm, which was pretty substantial change in lifestyle and things like that at that time. But I went in as a 10% partner, and the other 2 partners owned 90%. And as we kind of joke now, When you own 10% of something, you don't really own anything. Anyways, so long story short,
So was that like a tax firm? Like,
it
was
was a
that a
tax firm.
traditional?
Yeah, it was a tax firm, and then we focused in orthodontists, and we did bookkeeping and tax planning, and a lot of the things I still do today. Um, so we grew like crazy at that firm. When I came, not because of me necessarily, but just I was there while the growth happened. When I first got there,
I
we were
mean,
doing.
I would take the credit if you
Yeah, I
could.
don't want to take the credit. There was a lot of hard work. There was hard workers there, and I can't say that I was the hardest worker among them just because of my stage of life. But so it was cool to see the growth. But we're $800,000 of annual revenue when I started, and when I left, we were at 3.3 million. What ended up happening though is with that fast growth, we grew to a point where we felt like we had kind of grown out of our own shoes a little bit, and a firm just kind of at the time, as we were starting to really feel the growing pains of being a $3 million firm, and hiring and doing that kind of stuff. The biggest firm in the dentist industry came to us and wanted to merge, and we did that, and so.
Wow.
Yeah, so they merged in, and when the big, $70 million firm looked at my 10% equity and basically said, "That's cute, but we're gonna buy you out," and
Sure.
then you to make the merger happen, right? Like just logistically to make the merger happen, that's what had to
Nice.
take place. And then so I stayed there a little bit as an employee. It was a great experience, great firm. It was all good, but ultimately decided once I'd been that kind of partner for a couple of years there and had that experience, I knew I was broken as an employee. I knew I couldn't go back to being an employee somewhere long
Yep.
term. And so when
Yep.
when they were merging, which I understood, and when I became an employee, I knew that I wasn't going to stay there forever. So I was looking at my other options. Now to get into a little bit of my story here, that I think we'll talk about more today. Couple of decisions had looked at me purchasing a firm, as you mentioned. One was, so I'm the only, with my wife that stays at home with our now 4 kids, I'm the only income provider. And I had gotten used to a certain level of income being a partner at that firm. And so I didn't really want to take a step back in income. And I wanted some type of like guarantee of that cash would be coming in the door. So I kind of weighed my two options of, okay, do I just go out on my own, hang my shingle and see what happens and see what comes in the door? But I just didn't know, like I really didn't know how that would go. And I had this kind of income that I wanted to maintain. The other thing is I had bought out, I think this is correct grammar, from that firm. And so I had some capital that I could use to do
Mhm.
something with. And it was kind of basically me and my wife's decision was, do we use this money to live off of for a time while we build our own firm, or do we just purchase something that then provides us the cash flow day one? And there's other external forces with family and things like that. I didn't want to, with whether it's perceived or not, with like my in-laws and things like that. I didn't want to make everybody nervous that I was taking a leap without any, income coming in the door, and things like that. So ultimately, decided to.
It feels a little bit like we how do I say it? Like when somebody's like, I'm gonna go out to LA and be an actor, and everybody's like,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
sometimes as accountants we're like, I'm gonna go out on my own and do
Yeah.
it, and we think everybody's gonna be like, and maybe they are, but I think it's that same like
Yeah, it
same
was
idea,
that,
but in a different way.
yeah. Yeah. So, I went on to, I think I can't remember, it's like accounting practice sales, or there's those broker sites, right? That have these firms for sale. And there was a firm that was near me that it was a solo guy. His revenue at the time that he had quoted on there, I emphasize quoted, was 275,000. I have it in front of me, 275,000. So it was this basically a firm that was the size that I felt like I could service on my own, without any staff. And then, but that I would be able to feed my family off of as well. So I felt like it
Mhm.
was like this happy medium spot. And we can get into some of the mistakes I've made in a moment if you want to go down that rabbit hole. But basically, I took the leap and purchased this book of business from that guy, and then there was a wild ride. So that was basically that was November of 2024. So it's been a year and three
A year
months
and a half.
at a year and a half about since this recording. So I made it to the first year of that. The firm has grown. I've learned so many lessons. And it's turned out overall like better than I could have ever expected, is the positive
Mhm.
side of it. But yeah, it was like falling down a hill, kind of like Princess Bride, right? I guess like is that the movie where he falls down the hill? That's kind of like what it felt like.
I think
But
so.
as I look back in hindsight, I'm incredibly optimistic and grateful, but also have learned some good hard lessons along the way.
Okay, so you're only 18 months in. For some reason, I thought you had been longer. You're like,
Yeah.
as a owner, 18 months in about.
Yeah. I mean, if you count when I was a partner at the prior firm,
Sure.
that's where you get like 4 years. But yeah, it's pretty quick as far as what I've been on
Okay.
my own.
And I assume, because I think this matters in this situation, did you pay cash for for the practice that you bought?
I put a large portion down, but then I did
Okay.
finance like through an SBA loan, a
Okay.
portion of it as well. So I still do have an SBA loan that's active.
Okay. Because I think there's a lot. I mean, we won't get into all of the theory of how and mechanics of buying, and like whether you want to put down or hold back, whatever. There's a lot
Yeah.
of things that go into that. But I think a lot of the questions people have is, well, if I take out a loan, I'm just going to be using the income from the firm to pay off the loan. I'm not actually going to be able to take any money out for personally because I'm just going to be paying off this loan right away.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're able to put down not all of the money, but like a large portion of the money or deposit, like you're freeing up some cash flow to actually
Yeah.
take an income for yourself or your family.
And I would say that I mean, don't get me wrong, it's painful every month to make that payment. I put about 25% down. And then I have the SBA loan for the portion. I did want to keep a reserve too. I kept still quite a bit of reserve, just like, even though I felt like, there's gonna be cash coming in. I did keep a reserve that I just like a year's worth of security for my family kind of thing. You know what I mean? Just like, what if, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm a doomsayer, but when I went into this, I was like, what if none of the clients stay? What if, like this is just a disaster? What if I get sued? There were so many things. So I did hold back a portion too. But to that point, I mean, I'll just be super transparent with you throughout this, just in case it helps somebody else. But my,
Please.
like the payment is like $3,500 a month.
Okay.
And so like a couple of returns takes care of that. 2 tax returns take care of that
Yeah.
payment, right? Like even though it's painful to make that payment, it's not been a substantial like impact on my cash flow, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I would say
Like
to
you're not
just,
going to go destitute because you can't make the payment. Like you're a
yeah,
smart person who can churn out produce $3,500 of income in a month if you
yeah.
need to, right?
And maybe coming from like a W-2 like situation, when I'm saying $3,500 a month, like I'm not trying to minimize that number. I'm just saying like when you think of like the gross revenue of most accounting practices and things like that, it's not going to, for the most part, leave you destitute, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like to just,
Knowing also that you have in your family's bank account, you have like set aside a year's worth of oh crap money, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah,
you think where your business isn't running month to month to put
yeah,
food on the table. Like there's cushion, and I think it's important to talk about the cushion because like I'm not a like I might act like a doomsdayer. Like I don't think I'm a doomsdayer. I'm just a cautious money person, right? Like I don't
yeah,
want to make a jump without having a parachute. And we get to jump with a better state of mind when we have a parachute or a net to catch
yeah,
up or
for
a
sure.
nest egg, whatever it is.
But I also don't want to have people think that you need what I had, because it was just a weird situation, right? Like it was just a weird situation where I had this merger and I was still young. Like I'm only 32 still now. And so it was just this weird situation where I got into this firm young as a partner, and then just really by luck more than anything. And then it had this merger and this payout and things like that. I think if I would emphasize anything though, like I was overly cautious, and I think it even might have bit me in the end. I think you can do it on much less than what I did. And that
In
$3,500.
retrospect, yeah, in
Yeah, in
retrospect, what
retrospect.
done that differently?
I think in retrospect, so let me tell you, maybe let you tell you where my firm is now, and then I'll
Yeah.
tell you where I would have done in retrospect. So I went on my own and I had this $250,000 book of business, $275,000 book of business. To throw one caveat in there that I won't spend too much time in, as I started to get into the actual book of business, I learned that the prior owner had Alzheimer's. And that wasn't disclosed in the due diligence process or anything like that. And I learned that it really affected the work for the prior 2 years at least. So I walked in and it was quickly evident that like there was some big errors and just things were missed. And so I was walking into kind of a nest that way. So that, as I come into this and I start to unravel that, I'm feeling suddenly pretty panicked. But then like the phone starts to ring from other places. like I said, the firm that I was at before was heavily focused on orthodontist. And so just naturally, it's not like I was trying to poach anybody or things like that, but just naturally you made contacts and things will go from there.
Yeah.
Just like I feel like once you open the doors, um, and people know that you do taxes for business and accounting, it's like the phone just started ringing really fast. And so I went on my own in November. Um, and so which was November was like probably not too crazy. December, the phone started ringing more. January really rang. February was like out of control last year. Just people looking to make a switch. So I would say, well, basically to share you my first year's numbers. So this will maybe give you some context. The book of revenue that I bought was 250,000 of annual revenue approximately. I estimate, even though I didn't track it exactly, I estimate what I retained from that to be 175,000 of revenue.
Okay.
And a lot of that was my choice, not people think retention is a problem when you're purchasing it. It wasn't so much for me. There was a few clients that had been frustrated with working with that prior preparer that did leave, because they were already searching for something else. But most people pretty much just switched over seamlessly. My total revenue for 2025 was 425,000. So that means I had,
Great.
that means I had
Good. Wow, that's
250,000.
your first year to 425,
Yeah.
including the book of business with 150.
Including the book of business 175. So that means I had 250 of my own basically that first year.
From referrals of the phone ringing because people heard you hung up a shingle.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And so, and some of that is the work I had before. I had in the orthodontic space, I had a consultant and a financial advisor that I made pretty good connections with over that time. And they had sent me some work too, like new orthodontists and things like that, and dentists, and then some other, they're not all ortho, even though I have like a specialty in that, just other business owners. And, that basically kind of once it all came together.
Okay, so many questions about the 450.
Yeah.
When
Or the
you went
425.
out on your, or when you went out on your own, did you let everybody in your network know, not in a poaching way, but in an FYI, did you
I
blast
think
everybody that you were doing
No,
this?
no, I think I posted it on LinkedIn, and I had a website, and
Wow.
that was it. And
Like
that's
lots of
all the
posting on LinkedIn or like a post on
No,
LinkedIn?
and I'm a bad poster on LinkedIn. I'll post for like 2 weeks and then stop for 6 months and then come back because I get burnt out. But no, not a ton. I just said, hey, I'm on my own now. Like this merger happened, and just letting people know that I was on my own. And so it definitely worked out from that regard. And then so now, sorry, I'm throwing a lot at you fast here, but
Can I
have,
ask one more question about that
yeah, yeah,
first year?
yeah,
25, you said, is that what the
yeah,
number is? 425?
yeah,
That feels like a lot for one person in year one where you're trying to figure
yeah,
everything out. If you're like purely on your own,
yeah,
and if you've never done the on your own thing by yourself or for the first time, what were your hours like? Was it just you, or did you hire suddenly? What was the hours and the people structure during that
yeah.
first tax season?
So I went on my own thinking that I wouldn't hire. First of all, I went on my own. I just wanted to go in the corner and do taxes, really. Like we had
Yeah.
at that firm, we had grown so fast, which was awesome, but also like kind of tiring at the same time. So after leaving that, I was kind of like, I just want to go sit in the corner and with my tax returns. But by March, by February, I was like, I need some type of admin support. And I've made every mistake. This sounds exciting, and it is exciting, and it's fun, but like every mistake you can think of in your first year, I probably made it. So about in February, I was like, I need somebody to do admin. I hired a person. It was not what I needed. And then it wasn't a good fit. So within a couple weeks, I let them go. In March, I hired a bookkeeper who was seamless fit. And so of that 425, about half of it is bookkeeping. Um,
Mhm.
and so that bookkeeper was able to come in and take a lot off my plate immediately there. And then later in the fall, I hired an admin person. And then I just recently hired my second bookkeeper, who's more of a senior level bookkeeper accountant. But to answer your question, back to the hours and things, it was crazy. There was like particularly the extension deadline, because during the first tax deadline, I didn't know hardly any of these clients. So all I could do was really extend, right?
Mhm.
So it was just trying to get up to speed on what I was really getting into, what everyone had, onboarding the new clients, all of these things. It was just like a flurry. So I feel like the work really hit during the extension deadlines. It's not this way anymore, but there was a period between August 15th and September 15th. I think I worked 21 days straight, uh, of like working a ton. But I had to just get like the first year was kind of just survival, and then like let's lick my wounds and figure out for year two kind of thing. And
How
so
many
I just had to
returns?
survive.
How many
200.
returns through extension season, like for the whole year?
So I filed 255 returns, I think, last year. 200, no, 230.
Okay.
230. I filed 230 last year. I'm filing 150 this year. So
That seems like far less. Tell me what
yes,
happened. I don't know the
yes.
story, so like you're telling me
So
for the first
anyways,
time. Okay, so you went from 250 to 150. Why?
yeah.
How?
So as this is like it just was all happening so fast, even, and I know I'm trying to tell it fast too, but as this was all happening, so basically, I opened my door, opened the shingle, and it's all virtual. I do not meet with people in person. So the work started coming in, and then from there, I was like, I can't continue to feed these two. Like, I have these two separate businesses almost. These new clients that I get that like need more attention and planning and just detail, and then these basically compliance focused clients that I bought. And so I started to like disengage. I worked with coaches and consultants, and started to disengage a lot of that work that I bought, which was really hard at first to like mentally. I bought that work and now I'm going to let it go. Um,
Oh,
and so, but
it's
I
like
just,
kind of really. This is a bad example. It's like a really nice pair of shoes where you're like, I don't like these anymore after a month,
yeah,
and you're like,
yeah,
I just spent a lot of money on these shoes.
on this.
It's never happened to me. I'm not a shoe person. But
Yeah, me neither.
purses.
But someone would have that. But yeah, I mean, just mentally, like I invested this money and I still have this loan, and like to walk away from that was tough. But like working with, Geraldine Carter and some other coaches, like I just had to do what's best for the business. And like what was best for the business, the next right decision was to like let go of most of this work. Um, so that $175,000, I tried to get rid of almost all of it. All of it. I tried to get rid of all of it. And and then I sent out price increase letters to most of it. I just said, hey, I'm not a good fit for you anymore. And it was pretty cordial. The last, like the tough ones that were like really sticky clients that do need that like advisory, that really appreciated the change in relationship, I basically just said, here's the new price, and sent that. So of the 175 in year two, I'm retaining about 50,000 of it is all.
Okay.
So it's like from an
Like
investment
50,
purpose.
like originally it was a 50,000 worth of the 175.
No, good question. It's now 50,000. It might have been like 35 about
Okay.
when I bought it, but now it's 50,000. So it's like the prices have gone
Okay.
up and things, but
Sure.
that's all. And then the remaining has just been work that I've picked up. So my revenue this year too, to kind of, I'll stop there for a second and answer any questions you have,
Okay.
because I know we're going through that
No, this is good.
fast.
So you're going down to 150
Yes.
clients or returns.
Yep.
And what will your revenue do compared to year one? Because you said 425 year one. What will revenue look like in year two, especially because you have now even a part-time staff under you?
Yeah. So I looked at it today, if I don't do anything the rest of the year, if I don't increase clients, if I don't increase fees, if I don't do any extra services, if nothing changes from the rest of the year today, it'll be at 475. And then if I, trip and fall, like we typically trip and fall and stumble our way forward a little bit. So I'm, somewhere around 500,000, 500 to 550 is kind of the number I have in mind for myself, for this year.
With 60% of the returns that you did last year.
Yeah. So it's a lot more but it's a lot more bookkeeping. So like it's
Okay.
evolved. So the workload, it sounds maybe prettier than it is, because there is more monthly work now, and which is why I've hired that senior bookkeeper, because we send out about 35 or 38, I think, monthly financial statements each month.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like a big load every month.
That's a lot. Yeah.
On top of the taxes. So I've reduced the taxes to fill up with bookkeeping, with clients that need bookkeeping and taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of been the goal, is if you only are compliance, if I'm only getting into your stuff once a year and I can't trust your DIY bookkeeping or things like that. That's what I wanted to get rid of. I wanted to focus on ones that I could do that needed bookkeeping and tax, and really tax planning too, if that makes sense.
You said you have 3 part-time uh, employees,
Yep.
contractors?
Two of them are contractors and one of them is an employee.
Are local, US based, non-US based?
So it's kind of a funny story, but no. So the two bookkeepers are locally here to my town, and they work remotely, except for we meet. I have an office that I do rent because I have 4 kids, as I mentioned, and so I have to get out of the house to work.
Sure.
And so I rent an office space, and they come in like a couple times a month, and we meet and go over things. And then my admin staff she was an employee of the firm that I left where I was a partner. She had left previously because her husband was deployed to England. He's in the military, or he was, I guess, assigned to England. And so they moved their family overseas. And so she's in England, but she's a US citizen. So it's basically all US wages and things like that. So.
Okay. And did you just find these employees, contractors through your personal network, or did you post job postings?
Yeah, job postings, basically like a Craigslist type. In Utah, we use a different website, but yeah, it's basically Craigslist.
KSL?
KSL. Yeah, exactly. So through KSL, and yeah, they both worked out really well that way, and been able to find good people that way.
That's great. Do you have any plans to go grow? Like, I know you said like you'll just stumble forward and probably land at 500, which is great. I don't doubt you. I think we do see people, they think their revenue isn't going to grow, and then you hit tax season and look at that, it came in 20% higher because
Yeah,
you don't have time to look up and realize that you're getting new clients and they're higher priced, and it just
yeah.
happens. But do you have any like really big intentional intentions to grow big, or do you want to stay the same size or even go smaller? What are you thinking
Yeah.
right now in year 2?
Yeah. So like to zoom out, I know this has been fast, but to zoom out, what I wanted when I like first came out is ultimately like I wanted flexibility, right? I didn't want to be and I didn't want to work those hours that I did in year 1, and I won't work those hours that I did in year 1 and year 2. I'm already like way down in hours. It just like that year 1 was survival. Year 2, then coming into year 2, what I noticed in year 1 prevalently was that I needed some support. Like I did need some staff, like admin related things. Just my personality type really struggles at like super admin related tasks. And so just learning that about myself and knowing, okay, I do need some support and some staff. And so then figuring out where I wanted to be, as far as revenue wise, to support the staff that I wanted, and then the revenue I wanted to take home, like the income I wanted to take home. Now I'm there, like I'm currently at that number. So I'm not one of those people that's like this super high growth just for growth's sake, even though like I know in that first year things kind of went wild, but I was turning over this kind of bad revenue, right? Like this just compliance focused revenue. So I was kind of flipping the business upside down a little bit. And now that I have a good base of these stable clients that are good to work with, I do eventually, like my eventual plans, and whether this is in 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, like I do want to have a firm of over $1 million. And I do want to have a full-time CPA on staff. But I don't want to just run to that. I would say I'm very selective on who I work with. I'm currently not accepting new clients right now. I've gone through several periods where I've just shut down any like new client activity, and I'm in one of those periods now. So even though it sounds like this growth has been crazy and big, it's been very selective. I've said no to a ton of projects, more than I've said yes to. And so to answer your question, I'm happy with where I'm at now, but I also believe that like we as human beings, it's in our like nature to constantly like progress and grow. Whether that's like you doing these podcasts and like helping other CPAs, like you might be perfectly content with where your revenue is in your business, but you're also doing these other things to like grow as a person, right? So like I do think we like need always something to be moving us forward, whether it's like improving our current processes. But as far as like more revenue right now, I don't need any more right now. But I do think just natural, because I want to grow as a person, it will lead to me naturally growing my business a little bit, but it's not like I'm trying to set any records or do anything like that. The main thing still to me to this day is having the flexibility, to be with my family and um, to, to balance things out, even though this first year wasn't that, but that is still my motivation.
Yeah, I'm smirking as you're saying this growth stuff because I've been recording these. This is all going to be part of season 1, and I've been recording these interviews. And you're literally not the first person to talk about how even when you don't want to grow, we have this human desire to like progress and
Yeah.
to do more or do better or do something. And so like it's just so funny that I swear I've had the same exact conversation with somebody else about this, and I don't know where this will fall in the line of episodes, but it's becoming a recurring theme that like even when we're content, we have this human drive to want to do more.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be conscious of how we do that because many of us are capable of so much, it can spin out of proportion way more than we ever intended.
Yeah.
And you don't just always have to go for the gold, right? It doesn't always have to
Yeah.
be about more money. It could be about other things too.
Yeah. And the hard part that I found, honestly, is that it's really fun. Even though like this first
Yeah,
year,
yes.
even though this first year
It's
was
hard when
hard,
you like your work.
yeah, like even though this first year was really hard, it was still really fun and really rewarding. And I have like a ton of pride. If I would say to somebody, like that's thinking about going on their own and things like that, like what I probably can't emphasize enough is how fun it actually is. Just being the one to make the decisions, to like pull the levers in your business, whether it's price, hours, things like that, to change the model. Like, I have friends that golf a lot and things like that. And I do don't get me wrong, I like to do those things. But if I had to like rank my like things that I do for like enjoyment, work would be my top 5. And just it
That's
like,
awesome.
and so like, so part of it is like, I just really enjoy what I do. So then if I didn't have anything to do at night, I would like be looking at my spreadsheets and like what I could, you know what I mean? Like, it's just fun.
No,
And
I
so,
agree. I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
Like somebody, like I gotta make dinner and I gotta do homework with the
yeah,
kids. Like I have other things to do. I can't, but if I didn't, I
yeah.
think I would work 60-hour weeks because I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like obviously family time comes first and things like that. And I want to stress too, like the family and like my faith, they do take priority. Like on Thursday mornings, I take my son to his piano lesson and I come into work like an hour and a half late and things like that. Like there's definitely, because I am the owner and things like that, I go skiing with my kids. Like there's definitely a ton of flexibility that I don't have time to get into at this point. But even though like if you look at it on paper, I'm probably working more than I did at my last firm or at my firm before that, maybe even if you total it out. But I'm just like
Mhm.
so much more engaged and it's so much more fun that it doesn't feel like work, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Are you happy? Like, are you happy with
Yeah.
the situation you're in right now?
Oh yeah, I couldn't be like, I'm incredibly blessed. And I have shared these numbers and once again the growth, but there is nothing like spectacular about me or my skill set or my technical expertise or anything like that. Like I would share, the reason I do share these numbers is to give just the average person confidence to do this and to go out and to try it on their own. Because I think that there's a lot of people, if I was still at either the first firm I worked at or things like that, like I might be making, $150 to $175,000 a year, something like that, which is great. But you're beholden to like that corporate structure.
Mhm.
Here you can make on your own with what I would say is on your own with average intelligence, average work ethic, like average communication skills. You can make like at a minimum. I think the minimum, if you're working full time, I know you're doing it in half the time, but I think the minimum is honestly 200,000 that you can make working full time with average income and intelligence. And honestly, probably closer to 300 is even safe to say. But I think that the world is your oyster right now as far as like being a solo accounting firm or a small firm owner.
I think I know a little bit about your background. I think you've had some really good coaches and consultants helping you along the way in your corner. Like I would guess, um, giving you insight on how to price and how to market. Because you mentioned Geraldine Carter, and I think the world of her, and she's very good at helping her clients.
Yeah.
And I think even if you're average intelligence and like you're just a good average accountant, if you don't know how to price and market and show your value, I think that's where you come up with less than $200,000 working full time. Like, I think it's really easy to do less than you could when you don't know how to like price and market. Would you
Yeah.
say that's true?
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't say like if there is people out there that are full time making less than 200,000, I don't want to by any means shame that. It's more to give people the confidence. And yeah, so working, I've spent in the last year at like that's probably been my biggest expense has been on coaching and consulting. And if nothing else, like they give you the confidence to ask that price. And I've worked with Geraldine Carter, and then I did the Michelle Weinstein. She has like the sales mastery course,
Hmm.
and it's like a lot. Geraldine is very supportive and encouraging, and Michelle is too, but Michelle's is different style. It's very like tough love, like you're like
Okay.
so which is good. They've both been awesome. Like, but working with both of them, like working with Geraldine first and then Michelle second, has really helped me like I feel like get a concrete like packaging and service offering price level. That did really help that.
Awesome. Okay, I know we're getting close to time. I have one more question that I think
Yeah.
maybe somebody out there is just like dying to know the answer to. If somebody's out there thinking about buying a firm, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, generally, I don't think buying a firm in this day and age is a good idea or a good investment. Um, there's certain situations where it may work. And then the other thing too, so I think if you bought a larger firm, like if you were already doing 1 million or 2 million and you absorbed in another firm, I think that's a little bit lower
Hmm.
risk. But as a strategy to go out on your own, if I were to rewrite in hindsight my history, I would take the in my situation, but what I would recommend to other people to do, I guess, is I would get that nest egg. Like I would build up a savings pool, however you have to do that, um, to give yourself really even. I think if you had 6 months of living expenses, you could do it, um, and then just hang your shingle and see what happens. And there's tons more marketing that you could do to get your name out there that I didn't. So this is probably even conservative. But then from there, yeah, in a worst case scenario, it doesn't work and you go back to corporate or you get another job or you do buy a firm. But I think that buying a firm, at least my size, where like it was a solo operator, there's just too many unknowns. There's too many. You're basically buying a client list, and that client list is used to their personality and their workflow and so many things about them that it's really hard to translate that and their style of communication and things like that. And typically, like, I mean, this guy was in his 60s. He's a baby boomer. He's like just the generational difference of working with someone that's 65 versus 30 is just a
Hmm.
big difference. And the clients that are going to come with that is just a really big difference. And so I'm happy, obviously, with how things turned out in the long run, but would I purchase a firm again? I would say no, I would not.
That's really helpful advice. And that may have just saved somebody literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I'm not saying like I'm not anti-buying firm. I think to your point, it's like if it's the right situation, a lot of time we see people coming in and working with somebody for a couple of years and then buying them out after they've worked with them. Like I've seen those situations work
Yeah,
well. But I've also heard a lot of people ask me because they know me on the
yeah,
LinkedIn and they're like, Erica, I'm thinking about buying this firm. What do you think? And I've never bought a firm. I don't know. Like I can tell you what I see from other people. Um, but this is really good advice that uh you might be able to, you likely will be able to get further down the road than you think
yeah,
just going out on your own.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's not just me. I hear that from a lot of other people too, that, clients are in a plenty at like, and just getting the confidence and, going out there. There's other people like, I think both Henry, Hugh and,
Mhm.
the fun CPA, uh,
Yuri.
Yuri, I think they both did contract work, right?
Yeah. Boy,
So
I don't
that
know about Henry. I know him as well, but I know
I
Yuri
think
said he
I think Henry
contracted out.
did. They both did contract work, and that's a great option as
Yeah.
well. And so like I think I just wanted that like in my rush to get back to the same income level, I wanted some safety and I got it,
Yeah.
but I'm going to be paying on it for the next couple of years, you know what I mean? Which is okay. I'm past that. It's water under the bridge at this point, but like just lessons in hindsight.
Sure. Now you know,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
I also think that when you said that the clients are plentiful, I think specifically also in tax preparation.
Yep. Yep.
I think
Definitely.
I hear that more in tax prep than say bookkeeping and fractional CFO. I think in tax it's easier to ramp up faster
Yep.
from what I hear from people. And I think we underestimate that when somebody's selling their firm, their client list actually, there's a large portion that's looking for a new preparer, right? Like I get like my clients, and I'm, more CAS clients, they will tell me about their tax preparer. Like, well, my tax preparer is getting old. I should probably find
Yeah.
somebody new. I'm worried about him dying. Like they'll literally
Yeah.
say this. And so it's not like these clients are as sticky as they used to be. They're trying to
Yeah.
sell a very loose client list, which means these people are out there already looking and just waiting to jump.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Logan, any parting words that we haven't hit on that you want to share with listeners?
No, I just say in summary, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that, I have no regrets, even though, this didn't turn out like a year ago. This is not what I pictured my life to be like in a year. But I have absolutely no regrets. I love, being a firm owner, controlling my workload and my schedule and things like that. And I just think it's such a great time to be in accounting and great time to be a firm owner. And would just, yeah, if anyone has questions, I'm, on LinkedIn. It's sometimes hard for me to, when I start posting on this, it's hard to respond. But yeah, if you want to reach out directly to me, then I'm always happy to talk to people. If they are looking at buying a firm and need help talking into it, even what to look for is the other thing too, or if to do it or not, I'm happy to have that conversation.
Well, Logan, thank you so much for being here. We'll link to your LinkedIn in the show notes. And I just appreciate everything you've so candidly and transparently shared here. I know that that's going to be so helpful for the people listening. So
Yeah,
thanks
of
again for
course.
being here.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Erica again. Thanks for joining us today. If you want more stuff like this, subscribe to the 15-Hour Accountant newsletter. You can find the link to subscribe in the show notes. Special thanks to everyone who helped bring this podcast to life. This podcast is produced and edited by the 15-Hour Accountant. All design work is by Lou Valdivieso. The music you're hearing right now in the background is called Destination Freedom by Avocado Junkie. Until next time, work well, live well.